Good evening again to all the viewers, Trinidad and Tobago, and those outside of Trinidad and Tobago. We are here again for our third episode of Chetwayo's Health Talks. All right. So let's see if we can have an enjoyable time tonight where we edify each other through information with regards to health and fitness. Right, so pleasant good night to everyone, or good evening, depending on where you're from. If you're in parts of the world where it might be morning now or afternoon. So I should just say a pleasant good day. All right, so health talks. So it's me again, Chetwayo, the board of Chetwayo's Fitness Enterprise. I am a holistic health and fitness coach. So what I do is I coach people on health and fitness, all right, without the use of drugs, medication, and supplementation, right? That might sound a little bit weird for those that may be tuning in for the first time, but I help people heal their body the natural way. And that natural way is also without the use of herbal extracts. All right. So yes, many would be wondering, but how? How? Right. My whole approach to nutrition has a lot to do with understanding the science of the human body. All right. I mean, we all have gone to school. That if you notice when you go to school, the emphasis usually isn't placed on the anatomy and physiology of the human body or psychology of the human body. We spend more time learning about animal science, about the digestive system of a sheep and goat and rabbit and cow and so forth. And we have spent less time learning about ourselves, right? If we spend more time learning about ourselves, it would help us and would have helped us a lot more in understanding what we should or shouldn't be eating. All right. So, of course, feel free to ask your questions, because that's why it's health talks, because we want to have a discussion and we want to have, a little communication with the viewers, because I know many of you may have questions with regards to different things with regards to health. All right. Those that I am able to address, I would address immediately. If I am unable to address the particular topic tonight, I would definitely get back to you with the relevant information on the next segment. All right, because there is nothing wrong in not knowing. There are many health conditions out there. There are health conditions that are arising as we speak, right? Humans are known for manifesting a lot of different illnesses, and illnesses that have never existed before are coming into play today, because we are so far off with regards to our health and nutrition that we are creating new illnesses. We have been using including so much of technological advancements, which we call advancements, but it have been hindrances with regards to our health, because sometimes, that push to be futuristic would come with certain side effects, and those side effects would take time to manifest, and we may not be aware of the problems that it caused until later on. So we want to, try to understand these things and work towards making the right choices. A lot of the things that we need to do with regards to our health has a lot to do with going back to older methods, right, that we used to operate with in the past, right? The more modern stuff that we think because it's modern, it's supposed to be better, isn't helping much, all right? Something I want to bring to our attention, right? Now, of course, like I said before, feel free to ask questions, all right? I will try my best to respond to those questions. And it has to do with looking at children. Children, all right? We are unaware or many people take it for granted, where the health of children lies today. In Trinidad and Tobago, in 2001, childhood overweight and obesity statistical data was at 12%, meaning that children under the age of 18 that were obese or overweight, right? Obesity, meaning that if it was a male, they would have had a body fat percentage of, you could say, upwards 24%, and female above 32%, right? They would have had or in more so over, I like to say over 24%, because to me, once you reach those figures, I would class a man as overweight, a male person as overweight, once they hit an 18% or so. 18% or up. I know it have a larger leeway, but to be more realistic, 18% to 24%, I would class you in the overweight category. You go for a man going over 24% body fat percentage. This is not BMI. BMI is highly inaccurate, right? That was since the World War times, and they need to change using the BMI. It's very highly inaccurate, but you can use it as a general kind of guide. But body fat analysis is better, all right? So a male above 24% body fat, I would class you as in the obese category. But between 18 and 24%, you would be in the overweight category. When it comes to females, you're going above 27% there, or even some would say, because women generally need to have more fat than men, so 30 to 33%, the class is overweight. I like to hit it from about 27 and up. I would class a female as being in the overweight category. I would prefer that females stay around the 20 to 24% range, all right? They can drop a little lower if they are more athletic or whatnot, but not too low, because then it can affect their childbearing abilities, because women need fat, all right? It's essential for their function. But above 33% is definite obesity. So children under the age of 18, with guys between 24 and up, this is what the statistics and data is saying. When it comes to females, let's go from 27, 30% and up. Those under 18, the statistics was back in 2001, it was 12% of the population of children under the age of 18 were overweight and obese, right? So that was the overweight and obesity data back then. The problem is that was in 2001. Today, it is almost 60%. So we have moved from 12% among kids being overweight and obese to now almost 60%, right? Which shows that there hasn't been a decline, of course. There hasn't been a slow increase. It's an unrestricted, or I would even go as far as to say it's an assisted increase in the obesity figures. Because to jump from 12% in the span of 20 to 21 years to almost 60%, that is almost a 48% increase in the overweight and obesity figures among children, among those under the age of 18. How is that possible? Of course, if you look at any of the articles, let me see if I'm able to share my screen. All right, let me hope that the host of the channel could grant me permission here to share my screen, so that way I could show a little bit of data here. All right, so this here from this website here that tracks these data, tnfonline.com. All Right? It shows high prevalence of childhood overweight and obesity in 10 Caribbean countries. This data was released in 2018. All right. So this is when the study was done, up to 2018. So it's cross-sectional data and a narrative review of trends in Trinidad and Tobago. Right. So the background says there's an increasing prevalence of obesity among school children globally, including the Caribbean region. Let me just increase the size of this. Let me increase the size of this page here. All right. Let me increase the size of this page here so that you all can see a little better. All right. So there's an increasing prevalence of obesity among school children globally, including the Caribbean region. The aim is to obtain cross-sectional data on childhood obesity in the Caribbean and to explore trends in prevalence of childhood overweight and obesity over the past 2 decades in Trinidad and Tobago. All right, we will jump past the methods. All right, we might come back to that and see. All right, here's the results. All 10 Caribbean territories had a high prevalence of overweight, 28% to 44.5%, and obesity, 14.3% to 19.8%. The highest cumulative overweight and obesity percentage were in Dominica at 60.1%, and the lowest in Grenada at 40.3%. Trinidad and Tobago ranked 5th, but in this territory, the combined percentage of overweight and obese school children has been steadily increasing from 12% in 2001 to 51.5% in 2018. This corresponds with a notable decline in physical activity, 29.2% to 20.5%, an increase in sedentary time, 47.3%, and 49% from 2011 to 2017. Right? The conclusion, there is an alarmingly high prevalence of childhood obesity across the Caribbean within the last 2 decades. The percentage of overweight and obese school children in Trinidad and Tobago has increased 4-fold, likely reflecting a decline in physical activity and a rise in sedentary behavior. Now, there is a huge problem that I have here because this is where they're putting the blame on. Lack of physical activity and a rise in sedentary behavior. Let me stop sharing the screen here so you all can see me better. Now, the reason why I have a problem with them putting the blame on just that is that, one, they are separating nutrition from overweight and obesity influential factors. And that is a huge problem there because all they are going to tell you is your child isn't active enough. And I have a major problem with that because you can be inactive, but if you're eating the right foods, you would not end up overweight or obese, right? I am not saying to be inactive. I'm not saying to be sedentary, but I'm saying you can be, if you're eating the appropriate diet, you can be physically inactive and not end up overweight and obese. And nutrition plays the biggest factor when it comes to weight gain, but it is mentioned nowhere in the article. And we need to ask ourselves, why did they omit anything on nutrition? You know what that reminded me of? It reminded me of Michelle Obama. In the earlies, when Barack Obama just got into the Oval Office, Michelle Obama started a health campaign going around in different schools, pushing eating better and exercise, right? Becoming more physically active. Then companies like Subway and Coca-Cola and these other businesses, large conglomerate corporations that deals in heavily processed foods, right, that has a lot of sugar and very unhealthy stuff, they started to sponsor her. And all of a sudden, there was no more focus on nutrition. There was no more focus on nutrition, and the focus was only about exercise, 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 exercise. No focus at all was on nutrition. Nutrition was taken out of the picture completely. And we need to ask ourselves, why is that? Now, there are huge campaigns to try to get children to become more active. But yet, the obesity and overweight statistics keep on rising. So they are more active, right? And they're getting more active, but yet they are getting more overweight and more obese because we are focusing all our attention on the wrong thing when we should be focusing on their diets. Their diet should be the main point of focus, right? What we are feeding children, right? And that's where we are focused. Now remember, America is the country where the US Congress have passed that pizza is a vegetable. Yes, it's sounding strange, eh? Yes, the US have passed in the Congress, in the US Congress, that pizza is classified as a vegetable, right? So I guess somewhere in the United States of America, you would find pizza growing on trees, right? Yes, it's that ridiculous. So what about a child's nutrition that needs to change? We feed children too much snacks and too much carbohydrates, right? We feed them too much snacks and too much carbohydrates. Over the years, I have seen clients of mine, sometimes in the town, and I would see clients of mine with snacks and stuff, and they would say, oh, it's not for me, it's not for me. As soon as they see me, oh, it's not for me, it's for the kids. As if it is appropriate to poison children. Yes, and I'm using that term, poison children, because we have to start using stronger terms, right? These snacks that we buy for children, these juices, these soft drinks, these chips, and these biscuits and all this stuff, it is literally poison. The body, if we understand how the body interprets these things, right, it interprets it as a toxin, right? It interprets it as a toxin. And the longer we take to understand that, the harder it is, the worse things would get with regards to our children, all right? Because we don't understand what we are actually doing to them, to their anatomy and physiology, all right? And we need to change that mindset. We really need to change that mindset. Snacks are not good for children. Sugars are not good for children, but we keep thinking that it is. And then we have the other belief that if it comes from natural sources, if it comes from fruits, then it is also good for children. That is not the case. Sugar is sugar, whether it comes from fruits or not. There are things that we do not know about nutrition. and how our body responds to it, and what is essential and what is not essential. The consumption of fats is essential, meaning if there is no fats in your diet, you die. If you don't consume any fats, you die. If there is no protein in your diet, you die. If you don't consume any proteins, eventually you die. If there is no sugar in your diet, you live. The body can produce its own sugars. There is no need for the human body to consume dietary sugar. There is no essential need for the human body to consume dietary sugar. The human body can produce its own sugar. It's a process called gluconeogenesis, where the human body can produce its own sugar. You do not need to consume dietary sources of sugar. But the question now for people is, what is sugar? Because I have realized over the years, not much people know what sugar is. If I ask that question and I ask people to comment in the comments, what is sugar? I wonder what the response would be. So, okay, we have a couple of people viewing. What is sugar? What is your understanding of what sugar is? Let's see what the viewers are thinking, right? So tell me what sugar is in your opinion, or let's hope some of the viewers have studied it in school so that they can give informed response, or even give a guess as to what is sugar. All right. So come on, people, let's get interactive. Let's get interactive. Let me hear your thoughts. Let me hear your thoughts on what sugar is. All right. Let me hear your thoughts. Don't be scared to comment. All right. Feel free to comment your thoughts on what you think sugar is. So I'll give you all a second and see if anybody comments. If not, I would just continue with regards to it, because I'll still tell you anyway. All right, I'll still tell you anyway. But I want to see what people are thinking. What is their concept and understanding of what sugar is? Are we aware that, okay, somebody said, yes, that sugar is sugar. So most people think that sugar are stuff in the category of simple sugars, which is brown sugar and granulated sugar and even honey. All right, but sugar falls into the category of saccharides. All right, I see Miss Kisun saying today's children 16 and under are naturally eating natural eating machines. With the cost of living today, to eat healthy can be a bit costly for some families, and so they have to eat what is readily available. I would actually address that statement there. It's not that they're eating machines, is we are giving them the wrong things to eat. And because we are giving them the wrong things to eat, the nutritional requirement of the body isn't met. So it is keep triggering the hunger hormones in the body. When you feed children the wrong food, the body is going to continue to release a hormone called ghrelin, right? Which causes the body to keep feeling hungry. So it's not that they are eating machines, it's they are being fed the wrong foods. And because they are fed the wrong foods, it is causing the body to keep requesting more food, hoping, or with the hope that eventually something that you feed them would meet the nutritional requirement of the body and for them to not feel hungry, right? Because I've had clients, right? Like one of my clients, 10 years old, was type 1 diabetic. And when I changed his diet, the mom said, he only eats once or twice a day, and he does not even ask for any snacks. He lost that craving for snacks, and she said he's putting on muscle mass, he's getting stronger, his cognitive ability improved. Because, and I explained, so she was wondering why, how, because all the time they had to be feeding him all the time. And I explained to her, it's because his nutritional requirement was met, so therefore he would not feel hungry. Same with me, I would eat once and sometimes twice a day, and I don't feel hungry. I went 3 days straight without eating. I had to remind myself to eat, because when I do eat, I ensure that what I put into the body is what the body actually needs. And because of that, my nutritional requirement is met, so the body has no need to release ghrelin, which is when the fat cells are getting diminished and wanting fat, right? The fat cells are being diminished and wanting fat, and asking, hey, feed me some fat, or feed me some proteins, because when you consume fat, the body releases a hormone called leptin that cuts the hunger. When you feed them protein, it releases a hormone called PYY, and that cuts the hunger. But what we do is that we give them carbohydrates, we give them sugar. And what that does, it causes the person to not get in the fats. And the body is like, hey, I don't know when next I'm getting in these fats or these proteins. Let me store the sugar as fat. All right. So having said that, we will go for a quick break, and then we'll come back and we will continue from where we left off with regards to sugar and what children should be eating. So I will see you shortly. Stay tuned. All right, so we are back. All right, so we are back to discuss with sugar, and we were looking at what is sugar. And of course, sugar would consist of all forms of carbohydrates, also classed as saccharides. You have your mono, you have your disaccharides, and the polysaccharides, mono, di, poly, all right? All that means the monosaccharides are like the simple sugars, all right? So it's just one molecule of carbohydrates, so glucose as it might be. And the disaccharides would be like the stuff like you would find in milk, galactose, right? And then you have the polysaccharides, which would be stuff like the starches, right? Which is the complex sugars, all right? Now, most people believe because it's complex that it's better. All it means, it's just not going to spike your blood sugar as fast, because your body would have to take a little while to break it down. So it wouldn't get into your bloodstream as fast, right? You can get in the same amount of sugar, right? It's just that for those that are diabetic, the simple sugars would spike your blood sugar one time. The complex sugars would take a while to spike. that's all. There isn't a big difference, right? All of them, though, are non-essential. It does not need to be in your diet. I would say the consumption of carbohydrates is, I would class as a pleasure food, right? The consumption of carbohydrates, I would class as pleasure food or luxury food, all right? It does not have an essential purpose. That is like buying a sports car on Trinidad Road, right? You have no need to buy a sports car. It's not essential. It's definitely not essential. All right. So carbohydrates don't have an essential purpose. Dietary carbohydrates don't have an essential purpose in our diets. Fats do. And even if you look at the simple thing as how much calories they provide, all right, 1 gram of carbohydrates has 4 calories. 1 gram of protein has 4 calories. 1 gram of fat has 9 calories. So fats is essential. Fats provide more than twice the energy of carbohydrates with none of the side effects, all right? That's if you're getting in your fat from natural sources, because when we remember last week, we were looking at the last week and week before, when we were looking at the polyunsaturated fats, which the vegetable oils, which is not something that you get in large quantities in nature. But because human, again, like to put the hand and involve the hand in stuff, we extract those polyunsaturated fats from plants in large quantities, and then we consume it in large quantities that in nature we could never, ever get, right? And that is what corrupts our system, corrupts our body, and causes excessive inflammatory response in the body, right? Inflammatory responses in the body can cause many different things. It can cause increased fat storage. It can cause autoimmune disorders, which many people suffering from, with rheumatoid arthritis and ischemia and psoriasis and all these many different autoimmune conditions, right? Because we are using fats that we, in volumes that nature by design would not have permitted us to consume in such large volumes. But here we are consuming those things, all right? So sugars, all the starches, right? Which is the things people love to eat. The pasta, the bread, all these things that people so love to eat. Imagine none of them are essential. It's not essential. Not essential for the functioning of your body. All right, dietary sources of these things are not essential for the functioning of your body. Your body can produce what it needs. And then we are going to the other extreme where we have been cutting out the essential stuff. So we have been cutting out the saturated fats because we were told saturated fats aren't good, right? And I'm pretty sure most people don't really understand the difference between the saturated, the monounsaturated, and the polyunsaturated fats, right? But we all usually jump on the bandwagon and we say, oh, saturated fat's not good. One have to ask the question, why? Why is it not good, right? What about it is not good? And that's where we falter and we hinder, because we have the wrong idea and concept with regards to these things. These are not harmful stuff to the human body. So the average breakfast when it comes to parents feeding their children will start off with cereal in the morning. Cereal and milk, right? At least the milk has some sugar, but the milk, sorry, has some fat. But the problem is the milk that people use. How much of you all buy full cream milk? I don't buy milk period, but how much of you all actually buy full cream milk? When people going to buy milk, they're going to buy the low fat or no fat milk, correct? And there's a general guideline. Anything that is marketed as low fat or no fat, stay away from. Anything marketed as low fat or no fat, stay away from. The human body needs fat. The human body don't get fat off of fat. Excess fat consumption, you pass it out in the toilet. When you look at low fat and no fat products, watch the sugar in them. When you remove fats from foods, they increase the sugar content in them. Reason being, right? Reason being is because fat provides flavoring and taste. When you remove fats, you also remove the flavoring and taste. So how do you keep flavoring and taste? By adding something else that is very tasty, which is sugar, but it's also very harmful. Now, personally, I don't use milk. The only products I use from milk would be cheese and butter. Those are the only products I use from milk. The cheese I use has no sugar in it. Is that Baby Bell, the little cheese that is coming in red wax. All right, that's what I use. I was looking at full cream milk the other day in the grocery, and I saw that. I was like, wow, these things also have added sugars in it. But it is still better than the regular milk. And of course, all milk, full cream, low fat, no fat is better than almond milk. Yes, that sounding strange, yeah? All milk is better than almond milk. Almond milk is so nutritionally deficient. It's quite amazing that people actually turn to it. And when you check the labeling, of course, with almond milk, you can see a lot of added sugar to it. All right. Many people don't even know nuts, not something not safe to eat, but people would still go and eat it. All nuts by law has to be heated to disengage or deactivate some of the toxins in them. If people eat 5 almonds, real raw almonds, not almonds, sorry, cashew nuts, you die. Yeah, 5 cashew nuts, you die. When you go to the nuts man to buy cashew nuts, and you buy them in a pack or whatnot, and it's raw. It's a raw cashew nuts. It's not raw. By law, they have to be treated with heat because it would kill you if you consume them raw. Right? Yes, people would buy them and go home and heat them again, but you don't get the true raw ones because that would be illegal to purchase. Yeah, these are things people don't know, but we eating them anyway, right? And they will say they have anti-nutrients in it, which are good, right? Listen to what the first part is, anti-nutrients. What does that mean? Right? It's against nutrients, right? But sometimes we ignore the meaning of these words. We sometimes bypass certain things, right? So when it comes to the purchasing of milk, I stay away from milk. If you could get, which they also say is problematic. When I say problematic, it's not that it's a danger for consumption, but the laws, they pasteurize the milk, which is heating it at high temperatures for a certain period of time. But what that does, it actually destroys the enzymes and bacteria in them that your body actually needs in order to help to digest it. So this is why so much of people have a negative reaction to milk. Also, one of the things too is that after the weaning stage in life, the body usually loses the lactate enzyme to digest milk. This is why you would see among mammals, you have the weaning stage where we consume milk, and then after that, the mother stops producing it because the child no longer needs to consume it and can consume solid food. So when you reach a stage where you are able to consume solid foods, there is no need to consume milk. All right, milk was there for its purpose. It had its time. I believe it even have a biblical text. When you were a babe, you fed on the milk of the word, but now you as an adult, you have to feed on the meat of it. All right. So as adults, we should be consuming adult food. All right. Whole wheat pasta, same problem, same thing, not supposed to be consumed. Right. Right. We need to just leave out those things. We don't need to consume pastas at all. So some might say, oh, well, it's whole wheat, so I'm getting in the fiber. If people only know the problem fiber causes, fiber causes a lot of digestive issue. What is fiber? Fiber is in the indigestible plant material. It means your body can't digest it. We are not herbivores. We don't have the digestive system to break down fiber. We cannot digest cellulose. Right? We say, oh, we need it for roughage. Really? No, you don't. From actual studies that have been done, people that suffer with no digestive issues at all are the people that have zero fiber in their diet, like myself. I have zero fiber in my diet and I have no digestive issues whatsoever. I have no problems in the bathroom whatsoever. Right? Whatsoever. Consuming something that your body cannot digest is not benefiting to the body. Right? It can even cause colonic bleeding, fissures. It can even cause colon cancer. Yes, it can cause irritable gut syndrome, leaky gut syndrome. It contributes to Crohn's disease, right? Yes, fiber causes inflammation. Fiber is not needed in the diet. Yes, I just come out plain and say these things. I don't put water in my mouth to say anything. I would come out plain and say it. There is no need for fiber in the diet. Literally, no need for fiber in the diet. All right, I do not consume any fiber whatsoever. Right? And no constipation. Constipation has nothing to do with fiber consumption other than it being caused from fiber. When it comes to what truly causes constipation, has to do with your body retaining water. And that has a lot to do with your sodium consumption. Right? So that's another topic. Right? That's another topic. But when it comes to your children, like going back to what I was originally talking about with regards to diets for children, cereal is one of the worst things you can give a child. Cereal is one of the worst things you can give a child for breakfast. We hit children with so much of toxic foods, and it shows in the data. It shows in the data. All right. So somebody is asking about goat milk. Right? If you could get fresh goat milk, that's better. But like I said, once you cross the weaning stage in life, there is no need. Why not give a child a breakfast of eggs? And when I say eggs, I mean eggs only. We have this belief that we're supposed to be mixing all these foods together. And I always ask people a simple question. Show me an animal in nature that would sit down and take eggs and bread and sausage and eat them together, or that would have rice and peas with some meat and some salad and eat them together. You're not going to find an animal that eats. So the only animals that eat like that are pets that belongs to humans, and this is why it has something called a vet. There is no hospital in nature for animals, but there's hospital in societies for people with pets, because you just see this stray dog getting sick and having to go to the vet. No, you just see people with pets in the house because you're feeding them the wrong foods. You're mixing everything and giving them it, right? And that's a problem. That's a problem. Animals in nature eat what they are biologically designed to consume. We like to Google and see what do rabbits eat. They'll tell you online. They'll tell you pellets, right? Like pellets in nature, right? So we have been corrupting the whole system. Not that cereal don't have anything in it. No, it have sugar in it. Cereal is sugar where the taste of the sugar is masked. Right? So what people do, because the taste of the sugar is masked, remember, sugar don't need to taste sweet for it to be there. Right? Sugar doesn't need to taste sweet for it to cause the same response within the body, within the digestive system, for your body to react it in the same manner. It doesn't need to taste sweet for that to happen. Right? So now people are feeding their children cereal, sugar, large amount of sugar, which they shouldn't be consuming, heavy fiber, and then they would have frosted flakes on top of that. So sugar with more sugar. And then you have sugar now with low fat and no fat milk, which is more sugar. And then they're going to give the child a glass of juice on top of that. So a child's breakfast to me looks like a breakfast of, like to say a breakfast of champions. It's a breakfast of diabetes. That's what it basically looks like. Why not give them eggs? Watch the difference, give them eggs alone, just eggs with some salt, that's it. And see the difference. See how much longer they are going to feel full. See if they are still going to be an eating machine when you just give them some eggs alone. So they're getting in proteins with natural fats, right? And see what difference that's going to make when you feed them, right? So we are not feeding our children correctly. We are feeding them toxic foods, and it's contributing to the poor health in our society. Now, the poor health in our society is far-reaching. When you are physically unhealthy, it is going to affect your cognitive ability, right? It's going to affect how you think, how you reason. Poor nutrition has been linked to delinquency, right? So maybe that I might look at on another day and pull up some articles on that. Poor nutrition is linked to delinquency. So when you're looking at a misbehaving child in schools and thinking, oh, their parents just can't control the child or not raising up the child proper or whatever, it could well be the child has nutritional deficiencies that is causing the child to exhibit deviant behavior. Nutritional deficiencies can and does cause delinquency. I was reading an article on Psychology Today, and it was with a child who during her school time was, classes delinquent and whatnot. And only when the parents went and did tests, of course, no, this definitely, this is not Trinidad, because no parents could do any tests like that to look for nutritional deficiencies on the child, right? We would just think the child just bad behaved. And they found that there were nutritional deficiencies. When the nutrition was adjusted, the behavior changed. Right? When the nutrition was adjusted, the behavior changed. So we live in Trinidad and Tobago, where it have a high crime rate. And many people have not seen the link between the high figures in crime and deficiencies in the diet of the people that are involved in the crime. Look at all the bad boys and notice how malnourished they look. I just observe it. In fact, I've actually had meetings with people in the police service on this topic as well. All right? Because it's something that needs to be addressed. We want to fix crime by just increasing policing, but we are not seeing the link between nutrition and criminal behavior. We are not seeing the link between poor nutrition and corruption in government and politics. You see how far this can reach? Nutrition can also affect your integrity. If you have nutritional deficiencies, it can affect the connector points in the brain, and your brain would not be transmitting neurological signals as it should. The synapses and stuff would not be functioning correctly. All right. So somebody asks, what value oats have? And I would say, stay away from oats. Right? Stay away from oats. Right. So, oats is a dense form of carbohydrate. Apart from it having other toxins in it, I believe, like lectin and stuff, which also cause digestive issues and cause leaky gut syndrome, and many dozen other toxins, plant-based toxins that it has. right? It's also dense, very dense. So when people consume oats, they don't ever consume small amounts of oats because it looks small, but remember, oats swells. It is compact sugar. It's a compact carbohydrate. And it's also very difficult for your body to break down. All right, very difficult for your body to break down because it's coarse, especially these steel cut oats. Right, you notice how much stuff you have to do to certain foods in order to consume it to try to increase its digestibility. All right, so these are things people need to look at. All right, so I think somebody is saying, yeah, let me open this comment a little more. Typical breakfast in one sitting: bread, baked roti, carbs, eggs, fats, and then you have sausage, processed, carbs plus chemicals. You have spread, which is peanut butter and jam, carbs, oats, then cereal. That's a serious. Whew, that hurts in my stomach thinking about it. Typical. Let me see here. This is what Adrian is typing here. Typical lunch in one sitting: rice / provision, carbs, meat and fats, peas / beans, carbs, quinoa, carbs, vegetable, carbs, macaroni pie, pasta, carbs, juice, soft drink, or punch, carbohydrates, and then snack you have dessert, high carbs. So yeah, the diets of the average person is so toxic. It's so toxic. So this is why I have my nutritional coaching program and stuff. So what I do, I usually, for people that decide they want to learn more about their health, I encourage them to do a consultation first. That consultation usually lasts about an hour, right? Where I go through with you what humans are supposed to eat to help you understand why we are supposed to be on a certain type of diet, animal-based diet, and understand that fully. All right, I try to get people to understand that fully, and then they can choose to make changes to their diet, or they can choose to help me guide their diet. All right. So for those interested in that, you can send me a WhatsApp. I could send you a link with the services that I offer, so that you all can get on board, because we really need to take back control of our health. We can't say we know what we are doing because the data shows we don't. We literally do not know what we are doing. We are being guided incorrectly. All right. Healthcare have been improving more. Money and funding has been going towards healthcare. But why it is we are sicker today? Because something is wrong. Something is wrong. The information we are getting is wrong. All right. And that is what we need to change. That is what we need to change, and we need to understand that. All right. Seeing some more comments here. Let me somebody said the police carried around too much weight. It's true. It's true. A lot of police officers and soldiers. You see some of these soldiers. They have actually reduced the criteria for getting people into the Trinidad and Tobago regiment, the physical criteria, because a lot of people they were having too much of failures because people are just unfit, right, unhealthy. All right. Somebody else was saying, imagine eating most to all of this in one day, then every day. Yep. And then we wonder why we are so sick, and why so much of illnesses and diseases are so prevalent in the country. Right. 100 years ago, things like Alzheimer's and stuff didn't exist now, right? These things were rare. I think the first case of dementia was in 1906, right? Between 1906 and 1909 was the first case of dementia, right? And before that, these conditions never existed. Alzheimer's, something, these things never existed. Ischemic heart diseases before 1812, unheard of. Right? Diabetes was something that have been around for quite a while, but only among the wealthy. Like some of the first cases of diabetes were among the Egyptian pharaohs, because they were so rich and wealthy, they used to splurge on sugar, right? So the wealthy pharaohs many of them were diabetic. So that's why they had in the hieroglyph, it had Akhenaten, who changed the art and wanted people to portray. During his 17-year reign, people had to portray art exactly how it looked, and you would see that he had a big belly and whatnot, right? But a lot of them changed the way that art was portrayed so that they would look slimmer and whatnot and more fit, right? Because a lot of the pharaohs, the leaders, were overweight and obese, all right? Anywho, we would look a little more into these things from next week. And I would share some good information with you all next week with regards to certain things. As to why some people might say, why listen to this guy? But I'll share some good information with regards to that, right? And show some data on what science says with regards to, neurosurgeons and rocket astrophysicists or astronomical engineers and stuff like that. It'll be interesting. All right. So having said that, time for me to wrap up this evening segment of Chetwayo's Health Talks. Remember, you could contact me via WhatsApp at 761-1952, or you could email me at chetwayo@gmail.com, or check out my website, chetwayosfitness.com. I also do aquatic exercise classes in South at Fun Splash Water Park in Debye. So those that want to get the best way in which to physically train, which is in the aquatic environment. There's nothing that beats working out in water. That is something I can guarantee. You burn up to 75% more calories in water than on land-based exercises. So if you want to get into that, all right, you can contact me and I will give you all the details on those classes as well. So that's it for this evening. I hope you all have a pleasant evening and have an excellent tomorrow. All right. So having said that, remember, your health is your wealth, and there is no wealth without health. Chetwayo here for Health Talks, signing out. Take care, people. Keep safe.